All right, now that we have all the parts on the table, we will make an SSR77 out of this mess again. So we start with the barrel, because why not? We have to start somewhere. So in case this fell out, you can put it in like this, and then the gas block. All right. Now the pin will go back in place. Now, once again, here are ribs on this side. On this side it's smooth, so smooth side in first. Make sure that it's aligned and almost in. And now we will take a punch and tap it back in place. There we go, nice and flush. Perfect. Now we can put the handguard back in. And all the screws. We will start with the longer screws that we have, because those go on the bottom. We don't want to mix it up. Optional, if you never want to remove this, there's no reason not to put Loctite in there so the screws don't wiggle out. Just a mild one, middle, or even a weak one, and it will just stay there. If you don't necessarily want to run the short version, there's no reason not to put it there. It's in the maintenance kit, so if you have one or any other one, you can put a little bit on the screws. Also a tip, first start unscrewing the screw. Now I'm gonna unscrew and I'm gonna feel for the click when the thread aligns, and now I can screw it in. This will make sure that your threads are lasting longer than if you don't do this. Check everything is tight. Now we can put the barrel back in place. Would probably be smarter to do it first, but doesn't really matter. Also, if you don't want to make it shorter, put a little bit of Loctite on these places, also this barrel thread, so it doesn't go loose on you when you put a suppressor on, for example. There we go. All right, I believe that now it's a good time to move on to the chamber and the barrel. Gonna put the bucking on. Here, note where the window is, and that one needs to be placed like this. So the window has to be on top of the chamber. So it will go inside like this. You cannot see it when I put the bucking on there. So you need to remember where to put it. The bucking doesn't have a knob, so we don't have to care about the alignment of the bucking, but you have to get the barrel in right. If you have troubles getting it in there, you can put on the outside a bit of silicone oil, just on the outside, not the inside, and that will make it go in a little bit smoother. In my case, no issues. The silicone pressure knob goes in, and the arm, hop-up arm, goes in place, and there will be a pin from the side. We just need to align the holes. just slightly tapping it. You don't need to go full force on this one. You just kind of want to have it in place and it shouldn't go loose. Adjustment wheel. Slide it on there. Check if everything is pivoting, if it's in fact adjusting the pressure, which I can see that it does. So all good. I will leave it on minimum settings. Now this piece goes from the top where the hop-up arm is, just like this. We will put the O-ring back in place. It should be just underneath the red part. This is just to make sure that everything is nice and tight, including the barrel position, just like that. And now the C-clip goes back. Before that, we have to align the grooves on the barrel. Again, the hop-up bucking is non-directional, so that doesn't really matter for the hop-up bucking, but it does matter for the C-clip that needs to lock in place. Just like that, wiggle it around a bit. We have a bit of the O-ring coming out, so we just push it back in. All right, that's pretty nice. Don't forget the spring. It goes on top of it. And now we are ready to put the barrel back in. Just like that. Make sure that the hop-up arm is on top of it, just like that. It's going to be spring-loaded, and we will secure it with these two screws. Those are Phillips head. I'm just going to put it a tiny bit in, not much. Make sure the barrel is aligned as it should. I'm going to hold it and secure it with this screw. And now it will stay there. Now I can proceed with the second one. Just like that. Don't tighten these screws too much. You want the barrel to move slightly like that, because then when it goes against the gearbox, it will close the gap when it's a little bit spring-loaded. Don't tighten them too much. They will not wiggle themselves out. All right, the upper is pretty much complete, and now we will put the gearbox back. Before we get started, there is this little piece that will go here. You can see one on this side. On this side it's missing. That's where I'm gonna put it. There we go. Now again, we will open the body a little bit, just like that. And now we can close it again, secure it with the screw and the nut. Now I will put this metal plate back in place. Oops. Just like that. There are grooves, non-directional, so that's all good. All right. And now we will secure the gearbox. Okay, and these two screws back in place. Those are Phillips head. These screws, don't tighten them too much. If you tighten it too much, it could bend the plate that I put in there. You would bend it, and if you really tighten it a lot, you could damage it, which is not necessary. They just provide a little bit of pressure on the gearbox, and they don't need to be, you know, super tight. Just with your fingers, and that's enough. This thing, you can put it back in place. It's just rubber. You can snap it in there, whichever side you prefer, and we are almost done. There we go, and lock it back in place. Last but not least, recoil pad. First the bottom, then the top, then the sides. Just like that. The last thing would be the scope, but we don't really need that for this assembly. All right, there we go. That's your assembled A2.